मैं आपका दोस्त और आज के इस सेशन का होस्ट कृष्ण चावला आप सभी देखने सुनने वालों के साथ साथ सभी HCFI के मेंबर्स, RWS के मेंबर्स और टेक्सटाइल एसोसिएशन के मेंबर्स तथा अपनी हेल्थ एजुकेटर फैमिली के सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स का आज के इस 101 नॉन स्टॉप सेशन में स्वागत करता हूं। आज का हमारा ये सेशन 2 भागों में नहीं रहेगा क्योंकि डॉक्टर कालरा किसी व्यस्तता के कारण हमसे नहीं जुड़ पा रहे हैं। इससे पहले कि दूसरे लोग हमारे साथ ज्वाइन करें, मैं आपसे 2 मिनट बात करना चाहूंगा कि दंड के बिना कोई सुधरता नहीं। विदाउट पनिशमेंट पीपल डोंट इम्प्रूव। वेदों का एक सिद्धांत है कि दंड के बिना कोई सुधरता नहीं। वेदों के इस सिद्धांत को महर्षि मनु जी ने और अन्य महर्षियों ने भी इसका वर्णन किया है। इसी प्रकार मनु जी ने भी बताया है कि दंड के बिना किसी व्यक्ति को पाप करने से बचा लेना असंभव है। अतः वेदों और ऋषियों का सिद्धांत यह हुआ कि यदि कोई व्यक्ति पाप करने से या अपराध करने से बचना चाहता है तो उसका एकमात्र उपाय यही है कि वह या तो उस दंड को स्वयं भोगे या दूसरे व्यक्ति को दंड भोगता हुआ देखकर विचार करे कि इस व्यक्ति ने अपराध किया है और यह उसका दंड भोग रहा है। यदि मैं भी इसी प्रकार से अपराध करूंगा तो मुझे भी इस ऐसे ही दंड को भोगना पड़ेगा। इसके बिना कोई भी अपराध करने से बच नहीं सकता। तो बुद्धिमान लोगों का यह कर्तव्य है कि वे अपने आसपास अन्य प्राणियों, जीवधारियों को ध्यानपूर्वक देखें और इस बात का एहसास करें कि उन्हें भी उनके किए की सजा मिल रही है और हमें भी इसीलिए अच्छे कार्यों के तरफ अपने आप को लगाना चाहिए। ये कहने का अभिप्राय यही था कि आज जैसे हम बार बार वेट करते हैं, इंतजार करते हैं इस कार्यक्रम में सेशन के आरंभ करने में कि हमारे मित्र, हमारे हेल्थ एजुकेटर ज्वाइन कर लें जिनके लिए सेशन बना है, तो हम इस कार्यक्रम को आगे चलाएं। उसमें एक दंड की भावना ये रहती है कि जो हमारे स्पीकर आते हैं अच्छे अच्छे, उन स्पीकर्स के समय में कटौती हो जाती है और आप उनके ज्ञान से वंचित रह जाते हैं। तो ये भी एक प्रकार से आपको एक दंड ही है। तो कृपया इस दंड से बचने के लिए मेरा एक अनुरोध रहेगा सभी हेल्थ एजुकेटर्स और पार्टिसिपेंट से कि समय पर 2 बजे ही अगर हम ज्वाइन करेंगे तो हम इस सेशन का और अधिक लाभ उठा पाएंगे। आइए अब हम इस सेशन की ओर चलते हैं। आज का सेशन रहेगा, डॉक्टर संगीता सुबुद्धि हमारे बीच हैं। वैसे तो आप जानी पहचानी डॉक्टर हैं, हमारे साथ कई बार जुड़ी हैं और आपका आज का विषय रहेगा न्यू वैक्सीन फॉर चिल्ड्रन। आज के दौर में कौन सी नई वैक्सीन हैं जो बच्चों के लिए मार्केट में उपलब्ध हैं और आ रही हैं, उस पर आपको ज्ञानवर्धन करेंगी, आपके ज्ञान में वृद्धि करेंगी। डॉक्टर संगीता MBBS है मौलाना आजाद कॉलेज से, MD हैं UCMS दिल्ली से और इन्हें 26 साल का अनुभव प्राप्त है। इस समय फोर्टिस और सीताराम भारतीय में कंसल्टेंट है और अपना क्लिनिक भी चलाती हैं। जब भी हम इन्हें याद करते हैं, मैं इनका बहुत आभारी हूं। ये उस समय अपना समय देने के लिए बड़ी खुशी से हाँ कर देती हैं। और हमारे लिए एक बहुत खुशी की बात यह भी है कि डॉक्टर साहब हमेशा अंत में गाना सुनाने के लिए भी तैयार रहती है। अगर समय बचता है तो डॉक्टर संगीता हमेशा हमें गाना भी सुनाती है। तो ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर संगीता, आज के सेशन का आरंभ करें और विषय पर चर्चा को जारी करें। डॉक्टर संगीता सुबुद्धि, ओवर टू यू डॉक्टर।
थैंक यू चावला जी, इतने सुंदर से आपने सब वर्णन किया, बहुत अच्छा लगा। थैंक यू। इट्स माय ऑनर टू बी एसोसिएटेड विद HCFI. So my slides are visible?
Yes, yes.
Great. So I'm speaking up for the kids today, okay, about the newer vaccines. And let's see. So when I start this talk, see, newer vaccines, matlab, some of the newer diseases have been covered, and जो पुराने डिजीजेस हैं उसके और बेटर वैक्सीन्स भी आ चुके हैं. सो दोनों चीज हुए हैं. So today's agenda, we'll talk about what is vaccination, how vaccines work, what are the available vaccines to help protect your child, newer vaccines. Very briefly, the first three things and then the newer vaccines. What is vaccination? Vaccination is a process of giving the, the small amounts of any purified product, a small organism which is weakened into the body through the process of an injection or oral route. And this is the most cost-effective strategy of preventing disease, and in the long run helps the whole population. The first vaccine was discovered by Edward Jenner. Right, he laid the basis of the modern vaccines. He saw that the milkmaids infected with cowpox did not have any severe smallpox symptoms. So he tested that theory, and so smallpox was the first disease for which there was an effective vaccine. And now we have safely and effectively eradicated smallpox. And we have nearly eradicated polio and controlled many diseases in the world. So you can see in this graph also that incidence of measles has dramatically reduced over the last decade. What does the vaccines do, right? So you have an immune system in the body, and that helps you to ward off many disease-causing pathogens. They can be bacteria, viruses, or fungi. The body has two means of defense against these infectious diseases. One is the innate immunity. Innate immunity means it's already there. It's composed of the skin and other barriers, such as the mucous membranes, nose, the gastrointestinal lining. These become the body's first line of defense. Now, what is acquired immunity? This is very specific, and it relies on the body's ability to recognize these invading organisms and mount a defense against the pathogens. So this is the process where we are using our vaccines to develop this acquired immunity. So the important aspect of the immune system is that it can learn and it can adapt to the new changes, and vaccination uses this principle. Vaccines expose the body and the immune system to a modified pathogen or a part of the pathogen. It's usually not enough to make a person sick with the disease, but it is enough to cause the immune system to mount a defense. And it stays on for a long time. And that's how the body learns to defeat the invader and remembers it. So why vaccinate? Vaccines provide several advantages over treating a disease. The direct effect is on the vaccinated individual. So once the person is vaccinated against the disease, he or she is likely to be protected from the disease. And what is the indirect effect? This is called the herd effect. So suppose there are many people around you who have been vaccinated from the disease. So the person who is unvaccinated is also getting protection, and this is called the herd effect. Now, this is a huge slide, and what I want to tell you over here is so many.
डॉक्टर संगीता, आपकी स्लाइड्स नहीं चल रही हैं आगे.
मेरे यहाँ अच्छा. Should I stop share and do it again?
हाँ, सेकंड स्लाइड, थर्ड स्लाइड आपने शायद स्लाइड आगे बढ़ाई नहीं.
मैंने बढ़ाया था.
अच्छा, दोबारा कर लीजिए. दोबारा.
या श्योर.
हाँ, अभी आ गई. ये कौन सा स्लाइड है, देखिए.
Is it visible?
No, it's visible. It's okay.
Yeah.
जो सी स्लाइड्स बात कर रहे थे वहीं पे चलाएं.
हाँ. So we are talking about vaccine preventable diseases. This whole table is showing a lot of the vaccine preventable diseases we are using. Chickenpox, we have the varicella vaccine. It prevents against the chickenpox. Now, we have a combination vaccines for diphtheria. Diphtheria is known as galghot in Hindi. Then Hib, H influenza B. Then hepatitis A, which protects against this disease, same. Hepatitis B vaccine is also present, protects against the same disease. Then there's the influenza or the flu vaccine. Then we have measles, mumps, rubella. It's commonly called the MMR vaccine. Then pertussis in Hindi is called Kali Khasi, and it is incorporated in the DPT vaccine. Then we have polio. We have injection polio. Then pneumococcal. I am enumerating the diseases. I will come to a little bit more detail in the further slides. Then there is a pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. Then there is a rotavirus vaccine and tetanus. Tetanus is incorporated in the DPT vaccine. Now, 34 million children are not fully immunized still. As you can see in this graph, Southeast Asia is also a major chunk of the not fully vaccinated, along with the sub-Saharan Africa. Now, this is a very important chart. Every year we have a lot of changes to our vaccine, dosage schedules that we call it. And this is the schedule given by the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. And this is the latest schedule that has been being used currently. As you can see, at birth, we are giving 3 vaccines. That is the BCG, that is the for tuberculosis, oral polio dose, and hepatitis B first dose. And this should be given within 24 hours of birth. After this, you must know that we are giving at 6 weeks age, and then we are giving a lot of vaccines, right? Now, if you can see at 6 weeks and 10 weeks and 14 weeks, it's a common vaccine, which is repeated 3 times. So this is the DPT, injection polio, Hib, H influenza B, hepatitis B, second dose, rotavirus, and pneumococcal vaccine. Then at 6 months, we are giving flu. And again, another dose at 7 months. Now we are giving the typhoid conjugate vaccine after 6 months of age. And at 9 months, we are giving MMR first dose, that is measles, mumps, rubella. Then at 1 year, we are giving hepatitis A vaccine, first dose. At 15 months, we are giving MMR second dose, chickenpox first dose, the pneumococcal booster. At 18 months, we are giving the DPT boosters and hepatitis A second dose, also the chickenpox second dose. Then after 2, then it comes at 4 to 6 years, certain boosters. So that is the DPT boosters, we call it. Then at 10 to 12 years, again, we give the tetanus booster, we call the Tdap vaccine. And the human papillomavirus vaccine, that is the cervical cancer vaccine. Now, vaccination for diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. As everybody knows, we call it the triple antigen as the layman's terms. I think everyone is familiar with this because it has been introduced for the last 30, 40 years. It contains toxoids of diphtheria and tetanus and pertussis. Now, 3 doses are given at intervals of 4 to 6 weeks. Like I said, the primary vaccination schedule, and boosters at 15 to 18 months, and then 4 to 6 years. Now, in this vaccine, there are been lot of advances in the sense now that we have the acellular pertussis vaccine in the schedule. So now we have the hexavalent vaccine, that is a combination of DPT, Hib, injection polio, hepatitis B. So now we have the whole cell vaccine and the acellular vaccine. The acellular vaccine is called sometimes the painless vaccine, that you must be aware of. Then we have the Tdap vaccine also, which is recommended for pregnant women with every pregnancy. Let's come to the rotavirus diarrheas. Now, in children, acute diarrhea is responsible for nearly 1.9 million deaths per year in children under the age of 5. It's the #1 cause of mortality in children under 5. And more so likely it happens in the developing nations. You can see this graph showing, India is highlighted in red. So you can see the rotavirus child deaths are very high. So to safeguard against this, we have a very nice rotavirus diarrhea vaccine that is also introduced in the primary immunization schedule. And more than 28 to 30 states in India have incorporated it in the EPI schedule given in all the centers, the government centers. It is provided free to children. Now, as you can see here, this is the breaking news. The Southeast Asia region was certified polio-free in January 2014 by WHO, and 80% of the world's population is now polio-free certified regions. But our borders are such that we have Pakistan, Afghanistan, and they have still wild polio virus circulating in their community. So we have to still safeguard. So hence the oral polio vaccination drives are happening, and injection polio has been incorporated in all the government dispensaries all over India. It's given in a different schedule. And like I said, it is also incorporated in the hexavalent vaccines that I was talking about. The vaccination for polio can be oral or injectable, like I was saying. And these days, the oral vaccines are bivalent. We are not given against the type 2 valent. The injectable is given, the mixture of 3 polio viruses. And so nowadays, we are giving a mixture of oral and injectable. So the key updates, major changes in the recommendations are the booster of injectable polio vaccine is recommended at 4 to 6 years of age. So now we have a combination of DPT and injection polio combined, known as the Tetraxim, which is given at 4.5 to 5 years of age. The importance of injection polio in the immunization schedule is re-emphasized. It's very important. We are still having borders, having the wild polio virus. Do not be lax. Then a couple of points for the other vaccines. The inactivated polio, the influenza vaccines are used, and we are giving 0.5 ml of the flu dose for children older than 6 months of age. Then the varicella vaccine, the chickenpox vaccine that I was saying, it is given in a 2-dose schedule. Earlier, it used to be given at 15 months and between 4 to 6 years. But now it is recommended that you give, the second dose of varicella after 3 months of the first dose. So you can complete the chickenpox vaccine before 2 years of age. Then we have a newer vaccine for a conjugate meningococcal vaccine by GSK. It's called Menveo. And there are newer conjugate vaccines for typhoid that are available. And it's by Bharat Biotech. As you know, it also gave us the Covaxin vaccine. So we have a lot of now made in India vaccines for typhoid. One is by the Bharat Biotech called Typhi-Bev, and the Typhi-Bev has been given by Biologicals, but Tyber TCV has been given by Bharat Biotech. Another one has come by Dr. Reddy's labs also. It's the BioVac TCV. Then the pneumonia conjugate vaccine also, a newer one has come that is called the Pneumosil. It's the 10-valent vaccine. Let me talk about the last few vaccines also more. So the new approved vaccines are there, and the new vaccines with major potential for controlling infectious diseases have been licensed or are at advanced stages of development. Among the illnesses targeted are the rotavirus diarrhea. We have a lot of made in India vaccines for the rotavirus diarrhea as well. And the pneumococcal disease, like I said, we have a made in India vaccine by Serum Institute called the Pneumosil. Then we have the cervical cancer vaccine also, and these are the newer ones. So let's talk about the pneumococcal disease. Now, after diarrhea, pneumonia is the next killer of children under the age of 5, and it is responsible for close to 2 million deaths per year. Large number of these are caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae or the pneumococcus. The pneumococcal conjugate vaccine that we say, PCV, the minimum age we give is at 6 weeks. And then it is given as a 3-dose schedule and then 1 booster at 15 months. We have 3 such vaccines that are given in India. One is the PCV13, that is called the Prevnar vaccine. And additionally, it is given for use for people above the age of 50, particularly. And now, very recently, in the last 6 months, it has been also being used for all age groups. The other vaccines that are being used for under the age of 2 for pneumonia is the Synflorix vaccine, that is by GlaxoSmithKline. That is also a 10-valent vaccine. And the other is Pneumosil, by Serum Institute of India. There is another polysaccharide vaccine, that is the polysaccharide vaccine 23. Now, this vaccine is given in special circumstances in people or children having medical conditions where there is sickle cell anemia, HIV, or they are going for ear transplants, cochlear implants, have nephrotic syndrome, or above the age of 50. It is given additionally. And for people above 50, it's used along with the Prevnar vaccine. The other infections causing pneumonia in children is the Haemophilus influenzae B and other vaccines. The same, we have a lot of infections causing meningitis. So Haemophilus influenzae B, pneumococcus and meningococcus are the 3 organisms also causing bacterial meningitis. So we have vaccines for each of them. The Hib is incorporated in the DPT vaccine that I was talking about. Pneumococcus I have talked about. The other bug that we talk about is the meningococcus. The meningococcal vaccine is available in India, and presently it is being recommended only for high-risk groups of children with HIV or during outbreaks, and particularly for international travelers who go to places having high incidence of this disease, like Africa's, the Middle East. And if children are going abroad for studying and they stay in the dorms, so this is a special requirement then. The two vaccines that are available are the Minatra by Sanofi Pasteur and Menveo by GSK. They are both conjugate vaccines, and these days the conjugate vaccines are preferred because they mount a better immune response and give lasting immunity. And the Minatra vaccine is given now even above the age of 9 months of age. Let's talk about the human papilloma virus. This virus is sexually transmitted, and it's the major cause of cervical cancer. And this is the most common cause of cancer deaths among women in developing countries. About 500,000 cases occur every year, and 80% of them happen in developing countries. Among cancers in India, after breast cancer, then the second debilitating cancer is cervical cancer. So you can see that when we talk about cancer care, palliative care forms a small aspect, whereas the primary prevention, and that happens by vaccination. It is the most important prevention that you can do for your daughters. And now, very recently, the 9-valent Gardasil vaccine has been introduced in 2021. So the types of vaccines that were available initially were: one, the bivalent human papilloma virus, that is the Cervarix, and there was the Gardasil vaccine, that was a quadrivalent 4-1. But now the Gardasil 9 is available, and it can be used in boys as well. So Gardasil 9 was launched last year only. Its indication is for girls and women aged between 9 and 26, indicated for boys also from 9 to 15 years of age. It is covering against cervical cancer, vulvar cancer, vaginal cancer, anal cancer, nasopharyngeal cancer, and genital warts. So you can see this is the cancer vaccine that's available, covering against the numbers that I've specified here, 9 serotypes. Now the schedule that we are using is different for different age groups. And so before the age of 15, if you go for the vaccine, it is 2-dose vaccine. Whereas if you go for the vaccination after 15, then it is a 3-dose vaccine. So the IAP, that is the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, recommends the initiation of the HPV vaccination after 10. As of current licensing regulations, the catch-up vaccination is permitted up to the age of 45 years of age. The current vaccines are safe and efficacious. The HPV vaccines are of huge public importance. You will be glad to know that many of the states have included the HPV vaccination in their vaccination schedule. It is being provided free of cost. At least 6 states are providing as of now. Who should get vaccinated for H1N1? That is the flu vaccine. The CDC recommends that everyone should be vaccinated. But in India, because of limited availability, so we have special groups of population to be vaccinated. They are children above age of 6 months to 5 years, pregnant ladies, and for adults after the age of 50 to be vaccinated for the flu vaccine. Japanese encephalitis. Now, you must have heard of the acute encephalitic syndrome. That is the brain fever. Suddenly, the person is in altered sensorium, reaches the casualty and is, quite stuporose. Now, Japanese encephalitis is quite common in our country, and this vaccine has been in use in the endemic districts of India. You'll be surprised to know that Delhi is also endemic for Japanese encephalitis. 268 districts in 23 states. And Japanese encephalitis is caused, it's a mosquito-borne illness. And there are 2 new JE vaccines that are available by the name of Jeev and Genvac. Jeev by the biologicals, Genvac by Bharat Biotech, and it is indicated for vaccination after the age of 1. It is being given free in many of the endemic states in India. So before this slide, I would like to say that even vaccines for malaria, dengue are available. For herpes zoster is also available, but not for use in India. Now, some of the common questions about the vaccines. Do I need to vaccinate my child against diseases that aren't common anymore? Yes, because if you do not, then your child is vulnerable and it can still happen. Like I was talking about polio, our borders are still having, polio disease across the borders. Are the vaccines safe? Yes, they are. They have been tried and tested, and as you know, during this COVID time, you must have heard about all the trials that happen. Vaccines need to go through at least 4 phases of trials before they are given to the common person. Do vaccines cause autism? No. There was a myth that the MMR vaccine is causing autism or the polio vaccine causes impotency. No, there has been scientific proof that they do not cause it. Are preservatives found in vaccines? Earlier, when the wholesale vaccines were being used, then thiamarcel used to be used as a preservative so that it would not get contaminated. But now with newer technologies and everything, there are no preservatives being used. So they are very safe. Can my child get a disease from a vaccine? Well, you know that vaccines are used, we use very, parts of the vaccine or a weakened virus. So if you get a disease, it will be very, very mild only. So, and it is very self-limiting. So any questions or other concerns you might have should be discussed with your child's healthcare professional before the vaccine is prescribed. Some of the common side effects that we encounter is redness, swelling, pain at the injection site, or some low-grade fever. The uncommon serious side effects are allergic reactions. So once you go for the vaccination, you should make the most of the vaccination visit. Talk to your healthcare professional, ask for, we always provide, certain leaflets also about the vaccines, and you should be prepared. You should also carry your, your vaccine card, and you should keep track of which vaccines the child has received. So I'm open for vaccine related queries. Be happy to answer them.
सुगंधी, आप ये शेयरिंग बंद कर दीजिए, फिर उसके बाद we'll go back to.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta. We are open to questions, please. If you have any question, please raise your hand and ask your question. केशव जी पूछना चाह रहे हैं, अनम्यूट कीजिए केशव जी, अनम्यूट कीजिए.
Respected doctor, namaskar. This regarding vaccination, I have some query about COVID vaccination.
Okay.
That why the children do not require COVID vaccination? What is the theory about it? Scientific theory about it? This is the question.
Okay. Well, children also require the COVID vaccine. That is a little, I'm twisting the answer. The children also require the COVID vaccine, right? They also need to get immunity. But, so far, what has been happening is that the children who have got the disease have gotten a very mild illness so far, right? So what happens is then the vaccine is being given to the high risk age groups as well the people with comorbidities that we call it, right? So that's why the vaccine, has been staggered, in a staggered way, it has been given to the whole population. So very slowly, we will be giving vaccines to children at least above the age of 2. Lot of studies have been done and very soon they will be given. Very soon, we'll be looking for the launch of the Covovax, that is the protein subunit vaccine by Novartis. And so that will be very soon used. But it is needed for them also.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any questions? Doctor, which are the conditions you have been talking that how to give vaccine, which vaccine, when to give vaccine? Are there some conditions when not to give vaccine?
In regarding which vaccine?
Any vaccine.
Right. So we have, a certain subset of children. I'm talking about children right now. If they're immunocompromised, taking steroids, or they're having HIV, or they're having cancers, nephrotic syndrome, these are a subset of children who need to take, certain vaccines that are allowed. So you cannot give live vaccines in them. You can give killed or inactivated vaccines. So we have to see who is going what. So that's why it's important to get in touch with your healthcare provider before going for the vaccines.
And another concept which we are hearing is painless vaccines. Is that just to fool parents or really?
No.
Yeah, please.
So see, these days we are having the acellular pertussis vaccine, the DTaP vaccine. So because the P component is more purified, so because of that, the side effects of DPT are generally decreased. So that is why the lay person is calling it the painless vaccine, Otherwise, DPT is known to cause a lot of fever, pain, swelling, and everything. So, at 6 weeks of age, you come with your baby and, and we're talking about so many side effects, So when we say ki there is a lesser pain, so it has been termed as the painless vaccine for that reason, ki gives lesser side effects in general.
Okay. Aishu Dhingra has a question, please. Unmute yourself. Yes.
हाँ जी, हेलो एवरीवन. डॉक्टर साहब, जैसे हमने कुछ वैक्सीन अगर मिस कर दिए अपने बच्चों के और अभी तो उनकी एज क्रॉस हो चुकी है, वो एडल्ट में आ गए हैं, तो अभी फिर हमें लगवाना चाहिए वो वैक्सीन या अभी छोड़ देना चाहिए उन्हें?
So it depends on which vaccine it is. So, suppose, hepatitis A hai, hepatitis B hai, In सबके vaccines, so you can do at any age. Pneumococcal vaccine is now giving at any age. But there are certain vaccines you cannot give after a certain age. जैसे rotavirus vaccine जो है diarrhea का vaccine, it cannot be given beyond 7 months of age. So if it's missed, it's missed. So it depends on the vaccine. So like I was saying that the meningococcal vaccine, it's given to travelers, it's given to students who are going abroad for studies. So, if it was given in the schedule, then there is no need. But then we always do catch up for the vaccines that can be given and that are needed. Yes.
All the students who are going to, whether they are going to any country, they should be get that vaccine.
So every country has a list of vaccines they require, and the university gives those requirements. So, particularly children going to the UK and US for undergrad studies, they stay in dorms. So over there, they need the meningococcal vaccine, the Tdap vaccine, chickenpox vaccine particularly, and they ask for all those records. So we do that.
Thank you, Doctor.
Especially US, they give you, before issuing you a visa, the I-20 form, they want you to get a form filled with dates that which vaccination was given on what day, and that should be certified by a doctor. And if you are doubtful, there is a lab which will test and tell you that whether you were vaccinated or you were not vaccinated.
Correct. We get the antibody titers then, and that is then included in the yes.
Never try to cheat. They can find out.
No, you cannot.
Indu Jain has a question. Ji, Indu ji.
Hello everyone.
जी.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन रिगार्डिंग एडल्ट्स है कि जैसे अभी कोरोना वायरस की जो बूस्टर डोज चल रही है, तो किसी को अभी अगर 2 बार हो भी गया कोरोना, तो शुड ही टेक द बूस्टर डोज?
So see, अगर 2 बार हो गया and it's been 3 months since the last attack, then you can take the vaccine.
Booster dose. I am asking about booster.
See, booster dose also, what the recommendations are is that it should be 9 months after the last dose, right? One is that. And secondly, if you've had COVID recently, you need to wait for 3 months before getting the vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah, but you must go for the vaccination. Don't think that you will not require it.
Ma'am, one question is more here. What precautions should we take? What precautions should we take before going to the vaccination for booster dose?
Oh, see, if you go, you should mask. The mask mandate is now very soon, it will be put up again.
Again implemented from today.
Again implemented. So please use your mask, maintain the physical distancing, avoid gatherings. I wish, that is what's happening now. So a little bit, the COVID incidence has increased. So, take your appointments and go for the vaccinations.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So does it mean that everybody has to take or should take that booster dose?
Yes, I think they should, because we have seen that the antibodies are waning with time. They are lasting for about 9 months at least. And so, it's just better to get it done.
And nowadays you have to pay for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But it's a nominal sum.
See, if you are going to a private institute, you have to pay. But if you are going to a government, I think they are still free.
Dispensary and all that.
Yes,
they are providing.
Government hospitals, it is free. Any other question, please? And doctor, does vaccine cause baby to get sick afterwards?
So we have, vaccine-related effects in the sense we have local side effects, and we have certain, the mild fevers also. These are the known side effects we expect actually. And certain disease vaccines like MMR. MMR can cause a measles-like reaction after 7 to 10 days after the vaccine also. But it is very mild and it goes in 2 to 3 days, the rash.
See, for everything, doctor, some preparation is needed. There is stress, there is other things in both parents as well as the child.
Yes, yes.
So what preparations you suggest parent and child should make before going to the vaccination?
For the COVID vaccine?
No,
Or
nothing.
for any vaccine?
Any vaccine.
So I would always suggest parents to take appointments before going to their doctor, have their records always available, and to be aware of what they're covering against, and talk in detail about what they're doing and what to expect. And after vaccinations, you can give paracetamol preparations which are easily available, and according to the weight of the child, we prescribe the dosages. And so it's expected for 1 or 2 days. But if the fever persists, then you must get in touch with your doctor.
There's a question in the chat box: how much time it takes to produce antibodies after taking shot of vaccine?
So as a general rule of the thumb, we say about 10 days to 2 weeks before the antibodies, start forming in your system, or some immunity is happening, we say that much time. That is why even, we have another special vaccine, that is the, the yellow fever vaccine, or before traveling, it is given when you have to travel to these high-risk countries, South America and South Africa, some African countries. So you need the vaccine certificate at least 10 days before traveling. That is why. So we expect some immunity to happen by then.
Dr. I was really wondering, is child in a position to handle such a long list of vaccines?
Oh, yes. You will be surprised. See what happens even day to day. We are bombarded with, millions of microbes. We are bombarded with so many diseases and everything. Even then, some amount of immune, the immune system is constantly working.
Any other question, please, before we close the session? So there are no questions, Dr. Sangeeta, and there is still time. I'll request Sapna to close the live session before I request you for today's song.
Sure.
Sapna ji, please live close kar do. Sapna? Sapna, are you there? Just let me request Sapna to close the...
Sir, I have one question more.
You can ask, please, go ahead.
Yes.
Doctor, actually, I am worried about the side effects of the vaccination. Actually, my uncle got many of the side effects after COVID vaccination. So what we should do to prevent these side effects?
Oh, see, COVID vaccines are relatively new, So, we were not even aware of many of the side effects that have happened, See, with mRNA vaccine also, so many side effects happened. See, per se, we can't prevent the side effects as such. But, I've seen with boosters, the side effects are generally very, very less.
Actually,
The local side effects are, even lesser than the primary ones.
Okay. Should we still follow the protocol of ACS as Dr. KK Agarwal used to say?
The protocol of, sorry? Okay, I didn't get it.
ACS. It is aspirin, colchicine, and statin.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, see, that is Dr. KK's funda. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm a pediatrician. I